So, how to properly hire a new sales professional. So, today we're going to talk about the top 8 things you should consider before hiring your sales professional. Now, this is a major engagement for you as a owner of a company. So, I want to spend a little time. Well, before we get started, we've attached a 97-step checklist for how to hire a sales professional. This has been a vetted process. So I hope you enjoy that. And please, it's what we use today. It's been changed a few times, but go in there and take a look at it and take a look at your process with respect to how to hire. Because if you don't have, there's some key things in there that are maybe missing from yours. And if you end up with the 57 step or 105 steps, that's up to you. But please take that and use that in your business. We've also attached a sales professional weekly activities management form. This is an important document we've put into the process in managing reps all across the country. And this is something we use for the first 8 weeks of them being hired. And it's a way to protect the business from overpaying for a sales professional that doesn't perform. And it's exactly what it does. And it also helps the sales rep appreciate where they are in the process too. So please take a look at that documentation and hopefully it helps you in the business. But I got to try to cover 8 things. There's a few more than 8, but I'm going to try to get through these as quickly as I can. I want to start, though, with the base salary. And go to Glassdoor, go to other places like that and find out what folks in your area are paying sales reps for a base salary. And it's a lot of money today. I know up in the New York market, it's $90,000 to $110,000 to $125,000 for base salary. And that's a lot. And for some of you who, old school guys like myself, who think you can still get folks to work on commission only, good luck with that. If you figured it out, please let me know. And I've seen a couple of companies I know a guy out in Chicago has a guy who's probably 65 years old, maybe he's older, and he's on a commission only plan. And I've seen that about a month or so ago. That's just one that's still hanging around. But I don't think that works very well today. So you're going to have to pay folks. And don't think about it from the perspective of committing yourself to $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 in base salary. Think about what you're going to get. And I believe in this approach around, I'm a big football fan, so I look at it from a first round draft pick perspective. So that's the way you should look at it. I'm looking for the best talent that I can find. And some of you know that if you get the right hire who comes into your company from a sales perspective, and some of you who are more technically minded owners have seen this happen when you hired the right engineer who impacted your business and changed it. So a sales professional can do exactly the same thing if you hire the right person. But you got to be willing to do the work to do that. And it's a lot of work. It's involved to evaluating sales talent. And some of you aren't the most qualified people to be evaluating sales talent anyway. Now, before you become upset with me telling you that, I'm not qualified to evaluate technical talent. I've tried to do it a few times back in the past, and I think I was 0-3 at picking the right person, so I stopped doing it. I'd weigh in, I'd give you my feedback on just the things I could cover, but I am not qualified to bet that guy or that girl on technical skill. Not a chance. So understand that you may still have to do this and grow your sales team or build a sales team or make a sales hire. I'm hoping some of this stuff will help you. So get the base salary budget in place, figure out what you want to pay, and then we're going to talk a little bit about how you figure out how to get a return on that investment with respect to that sales professional, i.e. quota. Now, make sure you have sales process. If you don't have sales process, please don't hire someone if it's your first hire, because you're going to pay them to develop a sales process that may or may not even work. And that's a lot of money to develop sales process, $50,000, $60,000 a year. If you're the sales rep today and this is your first hire, then write down the process in terms of how you're doing it. You're making sales yourself, so that's easy for you to do. Now you may say, well, maybe I would take longer. I'm not a sales professional. Well, that's okay. Hopefully this person will do it better than you've done it, but at least have something to start with. Now, onboarding. The industry tells me that the number one reason sales reps don't make it today is poor or no onboarding. And I've seen this happen. Some clients we've worked with, especially some of our larger ones, hire a rep. He sits in the cubicle for weeks at a time sometimes and being touched very little. No structured process, nothing. And they grab him and pull him in. And one of the CEOs told me once, he said, well, I can't let them go because we failed to support them and train them and onboard them. 4 months later. And these weren't folks getting paid, $10 an hour. They're expensive. So, and I appreciate them feeling bad about it, but fix it. Someone's got to sit down and develop that. A 60-day onboarding process, that's maybe 90. That's all you need to figure out if this person is going to be able to conduct sales operations within your company. Now, compatibility. Is a sales rep compatible to your organization? So that means, and what I'm really asking is, if you're the sales leader, are they compatible to you? Because that's who they're reporting to, right? And you have a cultural, philosophical view of what you expect from them. So make sure when you're interviewing them, you're asking all those types of questions so you can get a fit there. Because I've seen that happen a lot of times where people expect a person to do a certain kind of thing, never say anything to them about it. And because they can't read your mind, you end up letting them go over some cultural mismatch. Now, even easier than that is, what vertical are you in? Are you in healthcare and, let's say, legal? Those are your two primary dominant verticals, and this person's never sold into those verticals. I'm not saying you can't train them, but at least find out. Can they engage CIOs or CEOs? So if there's CIOs and you're an enterprise organization with respect to your sales efforts, they should be able to do that, right? And the way we find out if they can do that is through role play. So we literally, when we have them go in for an interview, we have sort of 3 interviews. The first one is a written down questions, and we ask them what those are, and then we send them an impromptu email during the interview, and we role play their BDR skill. Can you call as a script? Can you make a phone call, engage in the organization, and try to set a meeting? Let's see if you can just do that impromptu. And I'm looking for that skill set. Now, if they're a proven operator, this shouldn't throw them off. Now, I've seen people do it so amazingly well, they'll even add stuff to it right on the fly. So that lets me know this person has the BDR function down. I've had people get on the middle of that and literally hang up the phone in the middle of the interview because they were so bad at it. And we appreciated them doing that because on paper, they look fantastic, or we wouldn't have gotten to the interview. They've already passed the DISC or whatever behavior profile you might be using. So we feel comfortable this is the right person, or we wouldn't be trying to interview them. But we don't know what they can actually do. And how good are references anymore? And can you even get information from folks about people's behavior anymore? Anyway, especially here in California, it's almost impossible. So let's find out what they can do. On our second interview, we actually do a video conference using Zoom or whatever you want to use. And we give them a first visit client scenario. So this is you talking to a practice manager in a healthcare practice with 55 users, and this is your first visit. Here's a scenario of some basic information you might have going in. Now let me see you conduct the first visit with me, and let's role play that. And now on that case, I do give them a little bit of a heads up so they can prepare themselves a little bit, but let's see how they conduct it. Do they do a warm up? I ask them some questions about how they will prepare for this call. So get a scenario that I think we've had some experience with and know what the expectation should be, and see how this potential new sales professional is going to do. So this is such an important step. Probably had 60% of our people who don't make it below that first visit. I've had a guy with a client recently up in New York where he was ready to make the hire, and they had skipped that step. And I said, well, let's take him through this process. And this is a guy who was a sales trainer, a marketing guy for the company that he worked at, and he could not get through a first visit properly. It was unbelievably bad. So, and he wanted $80,000 a year in salary. And the client was close to making that decision. So here again, let's just take them out for a test drive and see how they do. Another thing that's important to us, we don't hire any sales professional who doesn't have leads or prospects with the relationships they have right now that they can bring in when they come. Because what we do with them in that first 60 days, they're running meetings or setting meetings with that existing client list that they've got. And in the back of that, we start a sales and marketing automation campaign on cold leads. We don't give them company leads of people that we've worked with before until they've proven that we can set meetings with your existing accounts and cold leads. Because what we don't want to do is be giving them accounts that we have right now and they don't make it, and then we got to go back to the account 90 days from now and say, unfortunately, Bob didn't work out, right? So This is an important step with respect to hiring your sales professional. And this is things that we do every single day. And I hope this part helps you. Now, the last piece, because I'm running out of time here, is I really want to cover quotas and accountability. This is such an important thing. Some of you are afraid, or I hear all the time, I don't want to spend $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 or $100,000 on a sales professional. I get it. You don't have to spend that on them if they don't perform. So if the person is as good as we all think they are, and they're as good as we think they are, let's find out. So that document we gave you, we didn't always use, the Sales Professional Weekly Activities Management Form. It's a marketing quota first, marketing meeting quota. So if you can't hit that number and you're not trending to that number, you're not going to be here. And we tell them that in the onboarding process or in the beginning, during the process when we're interviewing them. So if they feel uncomfortable with that, that's fine. Then that lets us know we have the wrong hire. So they need to be trending to that number or they need to hit that number. And if those two things are not happening, it's time to release them back to industry. So my exposure is not $70,000. It's $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month. So within 60 to 90 days, if I don't see that traction or you moving in that direction, then I will release you back to industry. Now, that's where some of you are falling short. You've got to hold them accountable. You've got to hold them accountable. You've got to hold them accountable. It's that simple. And if you can't do that, you shouldn't be hiring sales professionals. I hope this was helpful. I appreciate your time today. Again, Gary Beecham, SBC International.